Okay, let's go through the Tigerbend Handstand Push Up. Now that's the full movement. Now obviously if you don't have the handstand push-up from a deficit, you're not going to be able to get back up from that bottom position. But what you can do, you can work the individual components. So you could do the eccentric handstand push-up if you have that. You could do the transition from the shoulder stand into the forearm stand if you have those components. So let's break that down. So the eccentric handstand push-up, first do that by itself. So make sure you're finishing in a strong shoulder stand. So shoulder stand, being able to hold this position. Making sure you got that angle correct. So like this, you don't want to be too upright towards overbalance. You don't want to be too declined towards underbalance. You want to sit somewhere in the middle so you have room for error. Then you need to make sure that you can do a forearm stand. If you can't do a forearm stand on the floor, don't try and do it on the box. So practice it on the floor first, and once you've got it, play with it on a box or P-bars. It's a little bit easier raised up because the head can go below the hands. And I'm purposely going into a banana position. And then you can just play with putting some of those components together. So adding them together. So if you have it, the eccentric to the shoulder stand, and then the shoulder stand through to the forearm stand. Now when you go from the shoulder stand through to the forearm stand, you have to get the timing right of the shoulders going back. Now your feet are over here, your shoulders are here. The shoulders need to go this way, and as the feet go this way. That's why it's a little bit easier to curve the body and go towards that banana. But it'll take some practice to get that timing right to catch the forearm stand. And then we can combine movements, so whatever you have. So you could go from the handstand to the shoulder stand, from the shoulder stand to the forearm stand, or you could just go from the forearm stand to the shoulder stand. So slow down on the eccentric handstand push-up, find a good shoulder stand. And then just get the timing right between the shoulders and the feet coming over. Show control, come back down. Now you are going to fail a few times, so knowing how to bail out of these positions will be really good. Having a shoulder stand to an L sit that's really strong is really good for the next progression, so going towards the forearm stand back to the shoulder stand, because you see this one I failed here, I actually make it look like I meant to do it and I catch through into that L sit. So having that shoulder stand here and go and be able to go from there or here through to your L sit looks like you intentionally done it, and it's a good way of catching in that position, and it's a good exercise to have in your toolbox anyway. So make sure you can do L sit to shoulder stand and shoulder stand to L sit. I do have a separate video on that. And then it's just playing with as much of the movement as you have. So you could go through the full eccentric and then try and go back up, or you could just try from the forearm stand, go into the shoulder stand, and then if you have it, push back out. Now that handstand push up is really challenging from the deficit and from a stationary position. It's a little bit easier to do the handstand push up from a deficit when you start at the top, go down and come back up again, because you get that stretch reflex. It's a little bit harder starting from a dead position at the bottom. So the better you can get the movement to flow, the easier it will be. So I definitely play around with different surfaces, P-bars, boxes. You can do it on the floor as well. The raised ones are slightly easier because you can take your shoulders and your head slightly below the hands, which makes the catch and the transition a bit easier, but it is a little bit scarier. Have something you can adjust side to side, because the width and the angle makes a difference, especially if you're using P-bars. Slight external rotation will normally be a little bit easier. Let me know in the comments if you have a go with this one. Let me know if you can do specific sections of it. So can you do the forearm stand? Can you do the handstand push-up? Or can you do the full movement? But normal deal, thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.